Now that's eerie. Dark silhouettes of playground equipment as the snow falls silently overhead in what looks like more of a prison yard than a playground. All while I can just barely make out the shapes of towering buildings in the fog beyond the fence. Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to Gary's Mod. And today, the map we're going to be exploring is City of Silence. An atmospheric RP map that is already obviously evoking strong nostalgia of things like Silent Hill. There's no outward apocalypse to this, but also, is it just the way my light is moving over that thing, or for the briefest second did I catch a glimpse of that seesaw just teetering? The only thing I can hear is the faintest breeze over the rooftops. And just occasionally, what sounds like an electrical noise from over here? So maybe there's still power on in some respects, but well, I'm not going to examine the logic of this too much. I think I just stepped off of you, and I'm going to keep the thought that that's why you're moving right now. I've had dreams like this. But there's something just so... Like, I say I've had dreams like this, but I've also just had days like this. I mean, it reminds me of being let out of school, what felt like so late because it was already starting to get dark. Those late winter school days when they'd line us up for the buses, but really it's just the way of the seasons. We can't seem to enter there. This map has clearly got its inspirations in things like Silent Hill. But the thing is, something that it's carrying over from that franchise is that it's not just creepy. Sure, it can be a little unnerving seeing the streets so dead, so silent. But in that silence, in that low visibility, there's also a sense of, like, sleepwalking, like a sense of calmness. It's almost a litmus test, a personality test to see how different people will respond to this. Because I do think that some people will find this far more comfy than creepy. And somebody should make a channel about that overlap. Then again, this area does look quite abandoned. We've got boards up on the windows, stockpiles of supplies, and everything just kind of ransacked and dirty. And that alarm clock blinking in the darkness makes me feel that any one of those blinks, I'll see someone come running screaming out of the shadows. And as soon as I pick you up, you stop. Oh, we can actually explore this building fully. Okay. Well, except for whatever's behind this door. Hello, waiting for me? I swear I'm on the list. Bloody Sunset. Okay, we're starting to see indications that perhaps there's a bit more going on here. One thing I have to compliment, indoors where there's no light sources, it is truly dark. And these props are leaving so much up to implication. So maybe something did happen. Maybe people tried to survive here for some time. I mean, look at all that water they've been through. And then something took them. Was this a warning from the people who lived here, or from whatever came and got them? Okay, there's something more going on. With a discovery like this, the silence is suddenly a lot more ominous. But these look like shackles, places where arms and legs would be bound. Some kind of ritual sacrifice happening right here? Maybe. See, this is one of those times where you have to become very aware of the open door behind you. And yet there's still only silence in response, which is somehow even worse than a crazed maniac barreling in here. But then again, the bloodstains, someone was dragged out. Or maybe they got up on their own, I don't know. It's just that feeling that we're walking through the remnants of something horrific that would break your mind if you were to see it. And in fact, it comes close with you only witnessing the aftermath. Okay, I need to recontextualize some thoughts, because I was thinking this is going to be just a comfy map. This is one of those times where stepping outside, I can practically feel the relief of the cool air on my skin. It's only when I stepped outside that I realized I'm actually breathing better. Like, I was taking really shallow breaths in there for fear of not even what I might smell, but just that the air in there was heavy. And oddly enough, I was feeling that even before I opened the sacrifice room. Alright, well, we'll never find out what happened here unless we keep looking around and march forward into the fog. Now, from what I understand, this is quite a large map, so it may require quite a bit of looking around to piece all this together. However, I'm told that there are secrets to be found. Quarantine, contagious disease. I don't know, what we saw up there seems like quite a bit more than that, but yes, everything is boarded up. It's not just there. I mean, clearly people went through something horrific, something that went on over a long period of time, and that's why it's so strange that aside from this dense fog, there's just no outward signs of anything wrong. Look, some of these cars even still sit with their headlights on, as if they haven't been abandoned even long enough for the battery to run out. A campfire burning over here. Hi. Whoa, you say? I suppose you could just be an Easter egg, although I do have to take note of the red eyes, fangs, and devil horns. But no time to stay and warm up. We've got to keep moving. This is one of the only times I've really looked up and been aware of the narrow alley I'm walking down, particularly because we are now at a dead end. And it would seem that we've found something here. Hello? You're made of brushwork. Okay, you look like you're probably going to open something. Oh. You're actually giving off light. Alright, well, I guess we'll carry you with us for a time and try and see what your deal is. It would be something of a pain to carry you around everywhere, but if we place you right here on this dumpster within the glow of that truck's headlights, we'll at least know where to come find you. Oh, but maybe these lights on isn't just incidental. Maybe it's meant to show us that this is someplace we can climb up. Howdy. You want to offer me some tea? You know, something I always struggle with in these maps is when there is no sound. Okay, I was gonna say it freaks me out because of, like, the almost sensory deprivation, but you heard that police car, right? Also, I can't tell if that's something, but it looks like there's something on the roof of that gas station across the way. We'll have to go check that out in a little bit, but First, somebody set up a walkway, a way to get up onto this roof. Question is, why would we want to do that? Nothing that I can see. We could get to the adjacent rooftop, there we go, and onto the fire escape. Climb up, climb up. Wow, this map is actually extremely vertical. But then again, maybe there was something that would force the survivors to want to keep off of the street. I mean, that's the thing. What did we just miss? Destroy your hunger at Burger Tank. I could definitely go for a burger right now. But I don't see what the use in a place like this is, although we do now get an opposite perspective on what we saw earlier. Funny how a change of perspective can make a place seem so different. I guess you would be safer up here, or at least have a better view of whatever's going on. Hang on, there's an arrow right over there. You're guiding me even further. Maybe we haven't seen the end of this thing yet. Okay, wait. Jump up onto here, run and jump, and then climb these boxes. Well, we're being led, but maybe in a good way? Come on. Is there something over there? Just the gas station sign, although quite conspicuously, it's one of the few places we've seen that's still fully lit. You heard that, right? I just heard, like, a cough from down below. Okay, we gotta figure out a way to get down there. If we hop over the barbed wire fence, that should be good. Oh, look, the door is left wide open. A truck still sitting beside the pump. Which makes me wonder what happened to the occupant. Clearly they came inside, but if we don't find at least a body in here, then that means that something happened to them. Either they fled or worse. Filling in the blank is much worse. It's from this glass we walked over, but I don't know why it reacted that violently. Somehow that doesn't lighten the mood at all. In fact, it only makes it a little bit more tense. Great, it's time to play the stall game. With nothing to show for it. So this place, one of the only lit buildings around, the place with a radio still playing on the table. What happened here that caused someone to come in and then abandon their vehicle? Leaving not a trace of any struggle. Stop it, you. Maybe we can find some clues around the pumps themselves. Looks like this person was trying to stock up. And if that road leads out of town, maybe... Oh, that wouldn't be good. Maybe they came from out of town and were just stopping here along the way? What if it's not just happening here? Man, this whole map just feels purgatorial almost. Like, you know when you wake up from a really deep sleep and you find all the lights off in your house and no one home? That's what it feels like. Like you've missed something and there's just a deep feeling that something's wrong. One boat left out to drift, which kind of makes me wonder what happened to the occupants out in the middle of the water like that. But before we move any further, we need to climb that tower. Okay, I think there's a canister of some sort sitting in the window, but for just a moment I thought I was being observed. Is there a staircase? No, but there's a ladder. Yep. Another empty post. Well, that did something. Was it something that I wanted to do? I hope this doesn't turn out to be a drawbridge. Wait, hang on, I gotta get down there. Not liking those grinding noises coming from that structure. It seems to have stopped. And it's not a drawbridge, so what did that do? And out of nowhere, a yelp from the fog. Very brief, so that by the time I even register it happened... See, in this silence, when there's a sound, I almost, ignore it at first. It takes a moment for my brain to be convinced that I'm actually hearing something to break this. This whole intersection is still just blinking. It's like I'm drawn to light, and even the lights are frozen in time. Alright, I don't know what this place is, but the lights are on, and it's fairly untouched inside, so one of two things is going to happen. Either it's a safe place to wait, or it's hiding an equally horrific scene better than the apartment. Perhaps now would be a good time for slightly different measures. I still have no idea what this map might pull. A stairwell with a quite creepy looking under the stairs area. And the side door is wide open. Nothing here, although my brain did try to fill in the blank a bit, sort of superimpose the person sitting in that chair, which, oddly enough, was about the last thing I wanted to see at this moment. Okay, do we try the elevators or the stairs? Well, I was always taught that in an emergency situation you take the stairs, and if this isn't an emergency, well, I don't know what is. Okay, so at least 3 floors. And rows of cubicles. My favorite in a silent, dead city, a room made of blind corners. Still, look at this. A place of work, a place of monotony and familiarity. It kind of reminds me of actually what were my favorite days at school. Even though I've never worked in this setting, I suppose I have close enough of an experience to get something out of it. Then again, maybe it's just universally human. Alright, stall game once more. And at least these actually have room to open without clipping through the toilets. And nothing. Nothing in the break room, although these very dark shadows I always interpret as a bloodstain when first going through. Seems like there's a park across the street. Maybe we'll go for a little walk afterwards. But before we can do that, we've got to check upstairs. There's at least 1 floor to go. Actually, even more to come. More of the same. I suppose that's typical of places like this. Although I'm not quite sure what you were doing here, so it looks very much like a makeshift setup. Okay, this should be the last floor. And doors are open, so let's keep that in mind. It looks like somebody went up to the roof. It seems in general like everyone was trying to get up high. Now again, for as peaceful of a scene as this may be, take a moment to think about what it means. We've got a full parking lot full of cars, and no one in the building they're outside of. And yet, no signs of a struggle. That's the crazy thing. These conflicting signs that people were aware of this threat, were surviving for some time, but there's no evidence of a fight? So what exactly was the nature of this? Oh my god. It's just the silhouette of a dish on the roof. I don't know what it is, but I'm just jumping at everything in this part. Like, every time I turn around and see, like, even the silhouette of, like, a fire hydrant or a street pole, it just really gets me. It really does feel like this whole map is the silence before a big jump scare. Like, it's constantly winding me up just by doing nothing. But really, it's the sound, or lack thereof. Don't cry that the old world has fallen. Cry that a new world has come. In saying very little, they're actually saying a lot. Whatever this nightmare is, it is the new world. There's no going back, and whatever it is, it's not changing. Somehow that seems a much more appropriate ambiance than the stillness and the breeze. Alright, but this is as high as we're gonna get. Can we see anything this way? No, just more city streets. I swear this map feels like the child of GM Shambles and RP Asheville. And the thing is, I keep looking around trying to find some concrete evidence of what is supposed to have happened here. And I feel like this whole map is just staring at me, like looking at me condescendingly, watching me flounder trying to solve some very easy, very obvious riddle. And until I guess it, I'm just going to be stuck wandering. Nobody here and no merchandise on the shelves. Hang on, what are you? You look like a thing. Hang on. Can I... Once again, I'm probably going to need no-clip to grab you. So what are you? Some sort of pyramid with a latch on the bottom? Or connector of some sort? Okay, this has got to be related to the other thing, but how? Almost looks like a warhead. Kind of fitting for the military-style crate over here, but there's got to be something more. There's got to be some way that these things fit together. And I would wager that it's more than just the two. Maybe... Ooh, maybe we have to assemble something. Like the McDonald's Inspector Gadget. Okay, I don't want to deal with this alleyway just yet. You know, what did I just say, map? What did I just say? Locked. So let's review. We've got the glowing green tube thingy that almost looks like some kind of fuel rod in the alleyway across the street. We've got the cone thing, maybe a warhead in the pawn shop. Maybe it's some sort of weapon we're assembling? Under the assumption that that is indeed what we're doing, every time I come to a dead end in one of these alleyways, I feel like I'm going to turn around to be confronted by some tall, lanky figure in the fog. Do you just hear like some tapping from the left? I don't know, maybe I'm just desperate for any sound, because after stewing in my own head for so long, part of me almost wishes for something to come running out at me, something for me to shoot, something concrete. Because when all you're left with is this vague dread, this vague sense that we're the only one who didn't figure something out, it makes me feel really, really powerless. Makes me feel really clueless. The not understanding is the horror of this. Just wouldn't be a tunnel without an ominous wheelchair, would it? I can trust you to stay in one place, right? Can we actually use this? Didn't think so. Is that a roadblock? Well, they're operating on a pretty limited resolution to display a message, but yeah, it seems so. I don't know what it is about this map, but it just feels like it's like sapping my energy. Like, you might notice some cuts where I'm just like stopping in the middle of a walk down the street, and it's because I feel like I keep having to stop and just kind of collect myself. Actually, I haven't felt like this since RP Asheville. Somebody asked me once, like, what's the most afraid I felt? Like, what's the most I didn't want to move forward while exploring one of these maps? And it was on that map. And it wasn't any kind of scare or anything. It was going down into that parking garage and just walking around in the dark. It felt just impossibly big. It felt like I was down there for so long. And my anxiety just built and built, and every fiber of my being was screaming at me to get out of there. I chalked it up to just being an early VR experience, because I hadn't really felt anything that intense since. But this is starting to approach it in a more minor way. Okay, did somebody spontaneously combust while on the toilet? I mean, I hope they did. It would add some levity to this moment. Gotta be some fries back here. Nope. It's in the back. Oh, hey, look, another alleyway. What else is new? This may be an RP map, and it has areas for RP. But more than anything, I feel like this is a place to wander. I mean, for such a map, it's got unusually wide streets, so many open areas and unenterable buildings. But I think it does it because without those elements... Okay, that's a mess of cables and not some strange gangly creature leaning around the corner. Without those elements, the effect of the fog doesn't properly sink in. Well, let's go for that walk in the park I promised earlier. A generator and some gas. Maybe somebody tried to establish some kind of safe zone here? Tents and porta-potties over that way. And another stuffed animal. We have to consider if maybe these things are important, because now we found an elephant, and we found a giraffe over by where we started. But for now, I am perfectly fine to leave you here. Should I be concerned about that one board in the floor? Is that something that can maybe be opened up? Oh, hello! So you're number 2, you're number 3. You must be number 1, but there's nothing on you. So I guess we'll just have to start here then. The city, or more precisely, part of it, is most likely located closer to the center of this city. Wait, what do you mean? Various loud sounds are also strongly suppressed here, which is why there is eternal silence. It's not just empty, something is actually enforcing this. Maybe even deliberately. Otherwise, you won't even notice that someone is coming towards you from the fog. So if there is anything out here, it will not be making a sound. This being source, I have no idea what's just flavor text and what's actually a thing, so... Here's our reminder to keep looking around. Head on swivel, as they say. The city is conventionally divided into 2 parts. Rich residential area, many offices, apartments, and hotels, little graffiti, trash, and dirt, and the poor industrial area. Here, on the contrary, there are few houses, but many different industrial zones, warehouses, and shops. More trash and anarchy. I'm so familiar with this division. Although it looks like some kind of cataclysm or event took place in the city, it is not particularly dangerous, and the structure of the AU is stable. AU. We tried to get outside the city, since it's unusually empty outside the gates and walls, as is typical for borders where AUs end. Actually, we never got behind the walls. We had to get out through the portal from where we entered, so there's a portal somewhere. I have nothing more to say here. I can only wish you luck, I guess. Note, avoid dark orange windows. What does that mean? Well, I guess we'll know it when we see it. Now as for note 3. I think I'll be writing these notes about AUs on a regular basis, and I'll put them in an open place. I'll leave these notes for other researchers. They'll contain a description of the AU you are in, facts about the AU, warnings about dangers, and so on. This will help others because BM Lab have tended to hide some of their details from employees. And I'll call myself Midnight. It's easier. Sure, you adopted that middle school MySpace name because it's easier. Let me say right away that this AU is extremely interesting. Usually AUs are like dreams. All buildings are simplified. There are only few things and objects, false windows and light anomalies. In a single word, human forgetfulness. Oh, that is so cool! The source map abstractions are actually built into the lore! And you using that description, human forgetfulness. That's why it feels this way. That's why I was so drawn to the memories of those December days leaving school. It actually is like a fragment of a memory, keeping only the feeling, leaving behind all the details. But it seems like this is actually scientific in some way. AU. I can't help but be reminded of like AWEs from Control. But this is an exception. Here, everything is exactly the opposite. There are a lot of details and an attempt at realism. Oh, okay, never mind. I guess the thick fog is to blame for this. The fog hides many details, and the human manages to work out all the details. In general, the city reminds me of some cities in the USA and Britain. It also has a damp and cold climate. It snows here all the time, but what's strange is that it melts very quickly, which forms a lot of puddles. In addition, the asphalt and roofs of houses are also cold. That is, there's no reason for the snow to melt. So the fog hides many details, and the human manages to work them out. Almost as if we're recalling memories as we enter those places, it becomes a clearer picture. But also, it's a lot like how Silent Hill worked on the PS1, you know? It was used to obscure the low draw distance. And to an extent, every engine does the same thing. It tries to discard things that the player isn't immediately observing in order to save on performance. Oh, we've got a really meta thing going on here, and I am loving it. It's not quite a ladder, but walking under it still feels like bad luck. I was really just waiting for somebody to jump around the corner there. Okay, any place that looks like it might be enterable is a place I want to see. We were told to avoid orange windows. Which means we are going to be doing the exact opposite, because we need to learn about whatever they warned us about, you know, for science, so we know to avoid it. Nothing much here, although this store looks like it's straight out of 1850. That fence has been torn down. Any reason why we should come this way? Once again, leaving so much to implication. The cop car right there, as if they came to investigate something and were never able to return. But as always, there's nothing here unless... Yep. Come on. Jump onto here. Up and over. We cannot. There's an invisible wall. And a gate out onto the fog. This is my Silent Hill. Somebody who came here was aware of it. Okay, I opened that door. I was real worried for a second. Of course, we have to see what happens if we travel down the street in the opposite direction. Is something burning over there? Another hobo fire. But then again, I kept trying to figure out like a timeline of this, and well, those notes pretty much confirm that that's a fool's errand, that time doesn't really mean anything in this place. Like if that researcher had to seek this place out, what are we doing here? What makes this one so special? And actually, the implication there that there are others like this that behave differently. I mean, that's a whole new reality we're getting into. You hear that? It sounded like thunder or some great machinery booming in the distance. I wonder if this place is starting to get fed up with me. Look. Quarantine signs on the doors. There's evidence of people being here. It's not like a completely constructed reality. But I wonder if this place was always like this, if this is something that happened at one time and now it's cordoned off for researchers to poke and prod at. They are dead, all of them. What we gonna do now? Have you thought of dying too? Wait, there's a window open up there. Can we maybe see inside? Oh, this guy was loading up on stuff, I guess planning to get out. I see what looks like bunk beds. We must be able to enter here. not particularly dangerous doesn't mean not dangerous at all. And, well, if something mauls us after we spend hours wandering, that means there was no danger 99% of the time, right? Nothing here. Sorry, that was a little bit headache-inducing of a movement. Where have my footsteps gone? Thank you. It's not quite to the same extent as the first place we entered, but I must say, going room by room in a world like this... Oh, look at that. Okay, crouch. Nothing but a soda can. Man, going room by room in a world like this, it may not be quite to the same extent as that first building we discovered with the altar, but, man, it really makes me feel like I'm more trapped, like I'm intruding on something, rather than just being kept in a box of my own. I just heard another yell. In fact, it almost seemed like it came from the ventilation. Alright, upstairs then. This is not going to be a particularly talkative part, but... well, that's the nature of the map, right? Silence and this go part and parcel. I hope I'm using that term correctly. The thing is, sounds are so few and far between that for the first second I can't tell if I'm hearing them in game or in real life. What this makes me think of is someone who might have overdosed in the bathtub, maybe deliberately, and drowned as a result. And the blood is just more of an impressionistic thing. It's violence, or at least trauma, and so the scene is left a massacre site as a result. Notably, this room is quite a bit more dirtied up than the others, at least so far. Another stuffed animal. So a bear, an elephant, and a giraffe. And they all walk into a bar. Nothing. Okay, I think that's all for this hotel. Oh, nope, there's a bit more. Why are the upstairs windows boarded? And only the upstairs windows. It's completely pitch black up here. But why? And we're not even done yet. It's like we walk upstairs and it shifts to a completely abandoned building, almost like the flow of the stream of consciousness of a dream. Like my own trepidation going forward is what caused this to happen. Well, these rooms are totally empty. We're at the highest floor we've yet been to, and yet it feels like we've gone underground into like a basement or something. And this door is completely boarded. Maybe we can break it down! You saw that for a second, right? Hang on. For some reason, when I hold the crowbar, when I take it out, it shows me what's on the other side. We have sown the seeds of sin. This is our punishment. God is dead. Exodus chapter 9, verse 15. My name is Reverend Richard Hardin. He is within you until the end. Leave now, they keep coming. No way to get back. And again, I've got to ask the question, if this place is sealed, what happened to the occupants? I don't like this. I don't like being here. I keep feeling like I have to, I keep being reminded of those words, you won't hear something coming up on you. And at least I had the comfort of being able to look around outside on the streets, but here... I don't know how this place managed to give the impression of just sadness and despair while hardly doing anything. Like, I was feeling it from the moment I saw those windows. And walking through it, it was like we were descending even as we were ascending the stairs. It just felt more and more like I was making my way to the center of some horrible discovery, and then there we are. Are those orange windows they were talking about? I mean, it does look like a faint light glowing from just beyond the curtains in a building that is otherwise totally dark. Oh my god. Hey, what are you doing here? Maybe you're related to the plushies and animals that are around? I'm getting the impression that these objects are all critically important, and I just don't know what to do with them. Okay, if I can find a way to climb down without hurting myself, that would be far preferable to going back through the hotel. Yeah. Some lateral motion, you can negate a lot of fall damage. There's just something about bridges and power lines in the fog, isn't there? Because no matter how deep the fog is, you'll always see them just stretching off into the very limit of your vision. You keep following them, expecting to see something at the end, and it just keeps going and going. But now we're in what they described as the poor area of town, the place they said they were familiar with. Despite apparently being a tourist here, a researcher, I mean, some of this stuff isn't making sense to me. It seems almost contradictory. There's another of those windows that I just cannot help but be drawn to now. When I stare, I can't tell if the light remains static or if it's almost breathing, getting slightly brighter and darker in like a pulse. We can maybe get inside the construction site right here. Let's just see if there's a gate that's open anywhere. Open up. Okay, I guess this is one of those maps where we can up and climb the fence. I'm never expecting that. But it is nice and cool thoughtfulness on the map creator's part. Nothing in the security booth, but hey, look, that's a mighty nice corner to huddle into and hide and wait to die of starvation. Better than whatever's out here. I'm still thinking about what's going on in that ritual room, because that is the biggest contradiction to the not particularly dangerous claim. Fog is coming. Fog is here by my approximation. What is that up there? A lamp, I think? come on. Okay, we're doing this. Yep. Okay, wait. If I can climb up on those things, I can probably go yep and yep. Come on, yep. Somebody took shelter here too. Just like everywhere, it seems like. But I can't see what we're meant to... Well, I mean, that over there seems like sort of an endpoint if we were to see this as like an obstacle course. Well, I did it. And I feel like I just pushed a button I couldn't understand. If we drop down, what about that open warehouse on the other side? Oh, listen to my footsteps echo in this place. Somebody's been laundering money, look. I guess they never got to claim it. I wonder, is there such a thing as AU insurance? All of this is within the fence? All of this is considered the construction site? Oh my, it goes all the way back down to the water. Can we push any buttons? Doesn't seem so, but there's a couple of offices here that could maybe do something. That button looks buttonable. Didn't hear anything but a cough. Nothing in here either. Yeah, I'm just not seeing much of note here. So I guess if we're to take that cough at face value and assume nothing's going to be out there, we can have a step down onto the dock. Imagine after all this, we find out that the fog comes from the water, and as we get close, some hands just reach up and pull us under. Glub, glub, glub. God, this water must be freezing. I don't see anything, though. And it's going to be too dark to really make heads or tails of what we're seeing down there. What if we try walking along this area? Can we maybe get somewhere we're not supposed to be? Well, we can get to another bridge. Did we see this before? I think that's actually the hotel right here. So if we had just continued a little bit further, we would have found this. It crosses in two places, not just one. I think this is a map that'll be very differently depending on the order you discover things. If you find those notes early, if you find the ritual room early like I did, I think it'll feel a lot more hostile. Or if you found the notes first, maybe more curious than anything. But if you don't find either of those things for a while, well, it'll feel more like just atmosphere. Like you're going for a walk on one of those winter days when no one else does, and, well, it makes you feel like you're in your own world because everyone else is simply left. Oh, hey, somebody's working on the Half-Life 2 buggy. I wonder, can we actually get in? We actually can. I mean, I may not stick with this for too long because I'm going to get motion sick, but hey, no problem with taking her for a spin, right? So if we head back down this way, I think, yep, that's where we came from. Okay, we might have actually seen all there is to see at this stage then. Maybe it's time for us to bring that glowy rod back to the other thing? I mean, look, we've gotten all the pieces. Now it's going to be time to start putting them together, right? So let's do the adventure game thing and try rubbing thing on thing. Nothing from the look of it. All right, everyone. I just had a look on the workshop page, and somebody figured out that what we actually have to do involves bringing 6 lamps. I knew they would be important for something, back to the ritual room and put them on the pedestals. There's also something else we have to find. It said, okay, so what it said was 6 lamps and 1 corpse. And whenever I look up what to do, I always try to stop just at the moment of the piece of information I'm missing that allows me to move on my own. So now that I know what I'm looking for, I've got to think back to where I found these things. So 2 lamps I know for sure. We found one, there was one around the gas station area. I don't remember if it was on the roof or if it was in the tower. And we found one in the construction site. So if I bring you here, no? Hang on, how do I do this then? Do I have to leave you? I have to leave you on a specific one, which pretty much means that you're probably not meant to be left here. Which makes me wonder what you are for. I understand now the reason we were able to jump up here, the reason we were being guided, is because I would bet that this allows us to jump to the roof of the gas station where we could see that thing in silhouette. Ah, my ankles. But hooray, my puzzle solving. Ah, there's one right here. These things just don't seem important in the moment until the very instant they are, and then you start recalling all the times they were prevalent. Other than this, I've been looking around for a while. I may have to consult the guide for the rest. So I did look up the guide for this one, and it's incredibly stupid. You would not find this one in normal play. So what we have to do here is it's up that way. In there, wedged in there. So jump up on the table, through here, up to here, and now we can grab you, which, oh wait, you're in a position where that's literally impossible in VR, so yep. Oh wait. If we flip this over, this note is readable. Hang on. From 30 to 16, bright and sudden light broke his world again, but without accepting the truth. He began to take revenge. Revenge with violence and coldness as eternal winter. But without even realizing it, he will be killed later, plunging him into darkness, even deeper and deeper. One back here. These are actually exceptionally well hidden, and I have no problem using the guide, especially since in VR I actually can't get some of these on my own. I figured this area is too significant to not have something in it, right? So maybe I missed something. Maybe we can get up to that fire escape. Maybe we can open this door. It's 3D, but I don't think so. Can't get up here. There's an invisible wall. Hi! Hi! I didn't see you before! Can we take you with us? Not with this, but maybe with the fizz gun? Oh, if this is actually what you're supposed to do, then that is crazy. Well, at least we'll already have our sacrifice when we find that last lamp. The one body in this entire place. Question is, what makes you so special? Unless you were left for us to find. Kind of funny how we went from being horrified at the discovery of this ritual to being the ones desperately trying to perform it. Right up here. Oh! I am not liking those sounds. What's supposed to be going on now? There's a red glow. This door opened. 5 minutes to destroy. 5 minutes to destroy what? What am I doing with this? Is this some kind of key card? Okay, safety Glock, let's go. Okay, so you guys are about... What is this? Oh, it's a spawner, I get it. Alright. Okay, well this is a bit not what I expected at all. But it just shows us where you're coming from. Oh, that must go right there. Sorry, spawn killed. Come on now. Use. There we are. What is okay? Alright, I know what we're doing now. But tracking is giving me real issues. Alright, let's go get those things. The problem is we're gonna have to rely on running on the way back, I think. Because we're gonna need 2 hands to make sure we get there on time. Okay, so one in one hand, one in the other. Alright, let's go assemble a bomb to destroy this place once and for all. Nope, out of my way, I've just gotta be faster than you. This feels like the crescendo in a horror game, where you run back through the place you've grown familiar with throughout the adventure game style gameplay, and now all of a sudden, it turns into this. Okay, good. The corpses littering this street can tell me what I'm doing, helping me navigate. Through here. No time to close the door behind us. You probably go here, right? No? What about you? You go in the back or... Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing then. What do you want? Okay, let's try this differently. Start with the green rod. There. Okay, that worked. Okay, now where's the cone? Cone. Where is it? Where did it go? Oh, it's underneath. Okay, yep. Right here. And in. I could try to get away, but what would be the point? Hello? And the map simply starts anew. A cycle of destruction that goes over and over again, leaving no evidence of the previous one. Well, I guess that's like what we read in the ritual room, right? On that note. Maybe the reason we can't leave, maybe the reason we're here is because this is our own personal ironic nightmare. And yet, it's something that exists scientifically, something that others can observe. Well, unless that's part of it, that being poked and prodded at by people we can never make contact with is part of our punishment. But to be honest, this leaves a lot to interpretation, and this was really cool. It started off as a creepy, atmospheric exploration map. And as I went on, I found that it was almost like a speculation sensory deprivation chamber. Being so creepy and unnerving, and yet giving me so little to work with. I'm always running wild with the speculation in these maps, and with this, it was giving me just so little to work with, drip-feeding me only the smallest bits, but it's very much like a nightmare. None of these stories seem to actually fit together. It just is empty. There's little things that build up a sense of dread, but nothing to actually concretely put it all together and understand anything. And that lack of understanding was driving me crazy. Then I found out there is actually like a big Easter egg to the map, and I kind of felt like I had some purpose again. Okay, I've got to find all these lamps and complete the ritual. I brought everything back to where I was going with the help of the guide because they're actually extremely well hidden, meaning it probably wants you to spend a lot more time than I did putting all this together. And then what's your reward? Something that seems... Well, it's really rock and roll, but it almost seems out of place. Zombies swarming the map, music playing. You have to put all the pieces together to set off a nuke. And then what happens after that? You're deposited right back on the same foggy streets you were wandering down before. Like a recurring dream. Even if you solved it last time, you'll be coming in the next with no knowledge. I thought it was really cool how some of those notes seemingly incorporated some of the meta elements of source map making into part of the appeal of the map itself. I mean, it's utilizing that source inbuilt creepiness to sort of sell what's going on here and use it to its advantage. The only thing is those notes, like everything else, sort of come and go, like every individual element only exists within its own area. It kind of reminds me of the movie Jacob's Ladder, how certain plot elements would be introduced, seemingly be important, and then just be dropped without explanation. And it kind of just adds to the frustration of not being able to understand what's happening to you. Especially, look, notes 2 and 3, but number 1 is just a blank sheet of paper. It's all just like constantly building to make you feel like you're missing something. Only just. Like, if you had just looked a little bit harder, it's got to be right there. I honestly have no idea if that sort of disconnectedness is deliberate or jank, but, well, the fact that I can't tell certainly enhances it, and, well, at that point, what does it matter, right? And if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.